Hello, y'all. I'm back. It's like 12 in the morning, but I'm feeling productive, so we're gonna. I'm just gonna give you an update and also talk about something that I've kind of started to realize. It's always something that's like told to you, but like you kind of have to experience yourself. But anyway, yeah. So like the level's coming along. This area is finally done. Way better than the original idea, which is linking into what I'm going to talk about. But it's like way different than what I originally supposed. This entire zone right here is going to be way different. And that kind of leads into what I want to talk about. Eventually. Well, like, this area is like, because this primary zone is like persona stealth type thing. You got a lot of hiding places. There's enemies, and enemy running patterns is important. A basic but not hard understanding of puzzles. Like, for example, this is a box. Ignore that it's not textured, but being able to break this and see that like these are power lines and that the power continues, and knowing the puzzle, it's not inherently like a complex multi-stage puzzle. It's just figuring out how to navigate and get all of them so you can go here is the puzzle, and a bunch of stuff like that. That's kind of what I realized, because I'm new, so I spent a lot of time just looking and thinking about like how the player will think, how all this stuff will think, and of course it's gonna be difficult because I've done a platforming level and a roguelike level, which don't really have, they have depth, of course, they have a lot of depth, but like they don't have a lot of puzzle depth or stuff like that. In at least the ones I worked on, don't have a lot of puzzle depth and stuff like that. So trying to start thinking in a RPG puzzle area mindset is fairly tricky, and it's taken like, I often find myself just staring and thinking. It doesn't help, of course. Don't make this mistake that I have. But I often find that, of course, playtesting is a really good thing. It'll help you figure out if something's fun or not. In this case, don't make the mistake I did, and I don't have the level gameplay. I don't have Persona style gameplay, so I can only test with like the default Unity, or not Unity, Unreal like character who can just walk around and stuff. So I have to like envision gameplay and how it'll progress and stuff, which can work, but a lot of it is definitely, it has more thinking and a bunch of stuff like that, right? Compared to stuff like, because when I was in college, right, a lot of it is like have an idea, playtest, change it to make fun, or if it's fun, keep it that way, maybe come back later or something like that. And that kind of leads into what I want to start talking about. The major thing, like a realization I've come up with on this project is how important iteration is. It's kind of something like you're told a lot when getting into game design. It's iterate, change it, test it, right? So much stuff. But you kind of always have to learn the lesson yourself, right? Like, for example, Scrap Hounds, which was a game jam game I worked on. I was the level designer. And I think I made pretty good levels. People liked the levels that they were playing from the game jam. I think it's pretty good. If you want to see it, you can check it out. It's on itch and the trailer and stuff. But the general premise of it is a first idea is usually never a good idea. It's it's a good idea and a good base, but you have to be willing to scrap it if something's better comes up. And I can talk about that with this whole city area so far. Because in my initial plans, this area kind of like was like the maze over here, where the gimmick of the level is that there's these big hunter things, and these like trigger on battle, and you're sneaking around them, right? And they're not. You don't want to fight these things. They're almost a guaranteed death, right? Like they're like the Reaper, but more deadly. All right. So my original idea, and it was very basic, you can tell the inexperience I had, was this entire city section would be going toward an objective, still sneaking through the streets with some verticality here and there, right? And the idea is when you're in, like, it'll go between indoors and outdoors, but that was the base of it. That was not a good plan, which just shows you even more that actually doing the work is way better than thinking, because you can get to visualize stuff. So like if you're getting into game design, level design, think of an idea, but always try and push it past the thought processes, because it'll make you realize a lot more. Anyway, back to iteration. So like that's the general gist. This area I came up with pretty early. It's like the intro, you get to see stealth in the streets, but that was pretty much it. And then how this area evolved is I got this bus asset off of the internet, right? Oops. And I placed a blockage here, so you're not just running through, because originally it was just run and choose the right path and avoid this guy, right? But now I'm like, what if you run in and like you can move these buses, and you need to like go vertically on these billboards? And so then that started to evolve, and so I put some billboards down, and I started trying to guide the player to trigger these buses into the right spot while keeping some gameplay elements. And then also threw in a curve bell here where you go underground over to this one. And this area I think is a lot more better in thought and execution than just running through it, because you're still kind of running through it. It's not going to take long, especially as soon as you figure it out. But aside from just doing like this path, right, you now do a bunch of stuff. You interact with the game mechanic more and in new ways, which just shows you how important it is. This area is pretty defined. This area originally was meant to be a generally shorter area of this, but the same mechanic, just like the same idea, just shorter and harder. And it wasn't. I was trying to figure that out, basing it off like Shibuya and stuff, Hoda Bridge, over to here, because I wanted you to go in here. But it kind of came to its own section when I thought of an idea of like an enemy stealing the key. I kind of already knew that the idea was that, well, no, the original was just a run through section again. Really, this entire idea was run through, but then my idea turned into an enemy stealing a key and you going through the streets normally, like again, just running through, finding the enemies, kind of like how Kamoshida's palace ends first off. Of course, that's not like the most. And then it deepened where I'm like, you can follow a trail, and the trail will take you through puzzles. Like there's a maze over here. There's a bunch of stealth. You end up here. This is like that power mechanic. And then yeah, this area started becoming like from just running through to the idea of a mechanic. And then I changed that mechanic to make it way more interactive. And I think this area is way more like way cooler in gameplay and awesome. And this is just a prime example of how good of how you should like to iterate on stuff, right? You should never like accept an idea for how it is. You could try and test it and maybe things will change. If I just went through the run through in this area, I think the gameplay would have been very boring in hindsight. But I didn't accept that, and it might have taken a lot of thinking, but we got to a point where it theoretically is a really fun portion. Like, I would be excited to play this portion. And then this area is my newest area. It's gone through a bit of iteration. It didn't look like this originally. It was just a run-through section, but now it's turning into more of a interesting gameplay-wise. But yeah, that's kind of been the thought process behind the project in the last couple bit. I've been working at it a lot more, keeping the consistency up, and while I sit and stare at the screen for a bit, I've been coming up with good ideas. My friend gave me an idea that stuck out, and now it's turning into something I think is really fun. And that's just a really big hurdle a lot of designers need to get over with, is like, you have to be ready to iterate on stuff. If you come up with an idea, you have to be ready to say no to that idea if you find one that suits better. Like in storytelling, because I also am trying to write stuff, right? Just learn a bunch of skills for fun. Write an RPG story, why not? But I've learned in storytelling, when you're not too good at it, if you really want something, you have to be ready to learn from a past story that might not have worked out and just restart. If it's difficult, if something's not working out, sometimes it's better to just to start from frame one and see what comes of it, right? And the same thing can be done to level and game design, where just don't take everything as regular level, right? Try and iterate on it. Anyway, it's a rough video, I know. Thanks for sticking along for those who did. It's very late at night. But yeah, I'm gonna keep on working about, and the next update will be maybe soon. Maybe I'll do a sooner update. But yeah, thanks for staying along and supporting the journey. See you in the next one.